The mansion stood like a giant cake made of white marble and gold, so bright it hurt your eyes when the sun hit it. But inside, in a room on the third floor, something terrible was happening. Something that all the money in the world couldn't fix. Little Lucas Vincent lay in his bed, barely breathing. His skin looked like old paper, pale and thin. His tiny chest moved up and down so slowly, you had to watch very carefully to see it at all. Around his bed stood 5 doctors in white coats, shaking their heads. They had tried everything, every medicine, every treatment, every machine that beeps and blinks. Nothing worked. Mr. Vincent, Lucas's father, stood by the window with his hands in his pockets. His suit cost more than most people's cars, but right now it felt like rags. His shoulders shook as he tried not to cry. He owned 20 buildings in the city. He had 3 fancy cars. He had rooms full of treasures. But none of it mattered now. "How long?" Mr. Vincent asked. His voice cracking like old wood, the oldest doctor looked at his shoes. "Maybe 3 days. Maybe less. His heart is giving up. We've done everything science can do." Mr. Vincent wanted to scream. He wanted to throw all his money at them and make them fix his boy. But deep down he knew the truth. Some things money cannot buy. Some doors money cannot open. Downstairs in the kitchen that smelled like bread and soup, Maria was washing dishes. Her hands were red and rough from years of cleaning. She wore a simple blue dress with patches on the elbows. Maria had worked in this mansion for 7 years, ever since her husband died. She cleaned the floors, cooked the meals, and washed the clothes. Nobody really noticed her. She was like the walls, always there, never seen. But Maria noticed everything. She heard Mrs. Vincent crying at night. She saw Mr. Vincent stop eating. She knew little Lucas was dying, and it broke her heart into a million pieces. "Mama," a voice behind her. Maria turned and smiled. Her son Tommy stood in the doorway, holding his worn-out shoes in his hands. Tommy was 10 years old, with messy brown hair and eyes that sparkled like stars. His clothes were too small and had holes in them, but his smile could light up the darkest room. "Why are you barefoot again?" Maria asked, though she wasn't really angry. Tommy shrugged. "My shoes hurt, Mama. Besides, I like feeling the ground under my feet. It reminds me I'm real." Maria hugged him tight. Tommy was everything to her. When his father died, Tommy became a man of their tiny family. Even though they lived in a small room behind a mansion and ate leftover food, they were happy. They had each other. They had hope. They had faith. "Mama," Tommy said quietly, "the little boy upstairs is dying, isn't he?" Maria's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, my love. He is very sick. Can I pray for him?" Maria's heart squeezed. "Of course you can pray. But, Tommy, you must stay away from his room." Mr. Vincent gave orders. "No one except doctors can go near Lucas. He's afraid of germs." Tommy nodded, but something flickered in his eyes. Something bright and determined. That night, after Maria fell asleep, Tommy sat by their tiny window, looking up at the stars. The mansion was quiet except for the sound of Mrs. Vincent crying somewhere far away. Tommy closed his eyes and folded his hands. "God," he whispered, "I know I'm just a poor kid. I know we don't have money or fancy things. But Mama says you listen to everyone, even kids like me. Please, please help Lucas. He's just a baby. He hasn't even learned to run yet. He hasn't climbed a tree or caught a butterfly. Please don't let him die." A warm feeling spread through Tommy's chest, like drinking hot chocolate on a cold day. It was a feeling he'd had before, whenever he prayed really hard. It felt like someone was listening. Really, truly listening. The next morning, Mr. Vincent came downstairs looking like he hadn't slept at all. His eyes were red and puffy. His fancy hair was messy. He saw Maria making breakfast and stopped. "Maria," he said, his voice rough, "I want you to know, if Lucas dies, you've been a good worker. I'll pay you extra this month." Maria's hand stopped moving. She turned to look at him, and for the first time in 7 years, she spoke what was really in her heart. "Mr. Vincent," she said softly, "money won't bring your son back, but faith can do what money cannot. My son Tommy has been praying for Lucas every night. He believes. Stop. Mr. Vincent's voice cracked like thunder. His face turned red. I don't want to hear about prayers. I've prayed. My wife has prayed. The whole church has prayed. Where is God? Where are these miracles everyone talks about? He took a shaky breath. Keep your son away from Lucas's room. Far away. I don't want false hope. I don't want cheap promises. Just stay away. He stormed out, leaving Maria standing there with tears running down her face. But upstairs, hidden behind a large potted plant, Tommy had heard everything, and Tommy made a decision right then and there. A decision that would change everything. He would not stay away. He would go to Lucas, because sometimes the smallest heart carries the biggest faith, and sometimes that's exactly what miracles are waiting for. Tommy waited until the afternoon, when the mansion became quiet like a sleeping giant. Mr. Vincent had gone to his office to cry alone. Mrs. Vincent had taken her medicine and fallen asleep. The doctors were eating lunch downstairs. Even his mother was hanging laundry outside in the garden. This was his chance. Tommy's bare feet made no sound on the marble stairs. His heart pounded so loud he was sure someone would hear it. Up, up, up he climbed, past paintings of stern-looking people in fancy frames, past golden vases taller than him, past windows that showed the whole city below. When he reached the third floor, he stopped. His hands were shaking. What if Mr. Vincent caught him? What if he got his mother fired? What if he was wrong? But then Tommy remembered something his father had told him before he died. Son, his father had said, holding Tommy's small hand, when you know something is right in your heart, you must be brave. Fear is just a shadow. Faith is the light that makes shadows disappear. Tommy took a deep breath and walked forward. Lucas's room was at the end of the hall. The door was half open. Inside, Tommy could hear the beep, beep, beep of machines. He peeked in. The room was huge, bigger than Tommy's entire house had been before his father died. But it felt cold and sad, like a beautiful cage. Lucas lay in the middle of a big white bed, looking so tiny and fragile. Tubes were connected to his arms. A mask covered his small face, helping him breathe. Tommy's eyes filled with tears. Lucas looked even worse than Tommy had imagined. His lips were almost blue. His little fingers were so still. Please don't die, Tommy whispered. Please. He stepped into the room. Each step felt heavy, like his feet were made of stone. The machines beeped louder. Or maybe that was just Tommy's imagination. He walked all the way to the bed and looked down at Lucas. Hi, Tommy said softly. My name is Tommy. I came to pray for you. Lucas didn't move. He didn't open his eyes. But Tommy could have sworn, just for a second, that Lucas's fingers twitched. Tommy reached out with his rough, poor boy hands and gently touched Lucas's small hand. It was so cold, too cold, like touching ice. God, Tommy began, closing his eyes. It's me again. Tommy, I'm here now, right next to Lucas. I'm touching him, so you know exactly who I'm talking about. His voice grew stronger. I know everyone thinks it's too late. I know the doctors say there's no hope. But Mama taught me that you can do anything. Anything at all. Tears rolled down Tommy's cheeks, but he kept going. Lucas hasn't done anything wrong. He's just a baby. He deserves to run and play and laugh. He deserves to feel grass under his feet and catch fireflies in summer. Please, God, please. I'm nobody special. I'm just a poor kid with holes in his clothes. But Mama says you love everyone the same, rich or poor. So I'm asking you, begging you, save him. Breathe life back into him. Let him live. The room felt different suddenly. Warmer, brighter, like invisible curtains had been pulled back to let in sunlight that wasn't really there. Tommy opened his eyes and gasped. Lucas's hand wasn't cold anymore. It was warm, actually warm. And was that color in his cheeks? Just a tiny bit of pink where there had only been gray? Lucas, Tommy whispered. The machine started beeping differently, faster, stronger. The line on the screen that had been almost flat started jumping up and down with more energy. Tommy's heart nearly exploded with hope. "Thank you," he whispered, crying and smiling at the same time. "Thank you, thank you, thank you. What are you doing in here?" Tommy spun around. Mr. Vincent stood in the doorway, his face red with anger. Behind him were two doctors, their mouths hanging open. "I told you to stay away." Mr. Vincent shouted, rushing forward. "Get out! Get out now!" But one of the doctors held up his hand. "Wait," he said, staring at the machines. "Wait. Something's changing." Everyone froze. The beeping was definitely stronger now. Lucas's chest was moving up and down more clearly. The blue color was leaving his lips. His fingers, his tiny fingers, were starting to curl and uncurl like a flower opening in the morning. That's impossible," the other doctor whispered, rushing to check the machines. "His heart rate is increasing. His oxygen levels are rising. He's getting better." "Better?" Mr. Vincent's voice cracked. He looked at Tommy, then at Lucas, then back at Tommy. "What did you do?" "I prayed," Tommy said simply, his voice small but clear. "I just prayed." Mr. Vincent fell to his knees beside the bed. His expensive pants got dirty on the floor, but he didn't care. He grabbed Lucas's other hand, the one Tommy wasn't holding. "Lucas," he whispered. "Lucas, can you hear me? Son." And then the most amazing thing happened. Lucas's eyes fluttered. Once, twice, and then they opened. Those beautiful brown eyes looked around the room, confused and sleepy, but alive. So wonderfully, impossibly alive. "Papa?" Lucas's voice was tiny and scratchy, but it was there. It was real. Mrs. Vincent appeared in the doorway, still in her nightgown. She had heard the commotion. When she saw Lucas's eyes open, she screamed, not in fear, but in joy. She ran to the bed and held her baby boy, sobbing and laughing at the same time. The doctors stood there, completely stunned. They checked every machine, every tube, every reading. Their hands shook as they worked. "This doesn't make sense," one doctor kept saying. "This doesn't make any medical sense. He was dying. He was almost gone. And now he's... It's a miracle," the other doctor finished, his voice full of wonder. Mr. Vincent looked at Tommy, really looked at him. This poor boy with bare feet and patched clothes, standing in his mansion, holding his son's hand. "How?" Mr. Vincent asked. "How did you know?" Tommy smiled through his tears. "I didn't know. I just believed. Mama says that's what faith is, believing even when you can't see the answer yet." Mr. Vincent reached out and pulled Tommy into a hug. This rich, powerful man who owned half the city, hugging a poor boy like he was made of gold. "Thank you," Mr. Vincent sobbed into Tommy's shoulder. "Thank you for being braver than me. Thank you for believing when I gave up." Maria appeared in the doorway, out of breath from running. When she saw Tommy hugging Mr. Vincent and Lucas awake in the bed, she understood. Her boy had done it. Her faithful, brave, wonderful boy had done what all the money and medicine couldn't do. He had brought a miracle. 3 months later, the mansion looked the same on the outside. The marble still gleamed white in the sunshine. The gold decorations still sparkled. But inside, everything had changed. Lucas ran to the hallways, his laughter echoing off the walls like music. His cheeks were pink and healthy. His eyes were bright with joy. He chased after Tommy, both boys giggling as they played hide-and-seek between the fancy furniture. "Found you!" Lucas squealed, discovering Tommy behind a curtain. Tommy scooped up the little boy and spun him around. "You're getting too good at this game." Mrs. Vincent watched from the doorway, smiling with tears in her eyes. Every day, she thanked God that her son was alive. Every single day. But the biggest change wasn't in Lucas. It was in Mr. Vincent. The man who used to wear expensive suits every day now dressed more simply. The man who used to count his money now counted his blessings. The man who used to build his towers of gold now built something far more important. One morning, Mr. Vincent called everyone into the big dining room. Maria came in nervously, wiping her hands on her apron. Tommy held Lucas's hand. Mrs. Vincent sat down, curious. "I have an announcement," Mr. Vincent said, but his voice was warm, not scary. "I've been thinking a lot these past months. About what matters. About what's real." He looked at Tommy. "This young man taught me something I've forgotten. He taught me that faith is more powerful than money. That love is more valuable than gold. That one humble heart can change the world." He pulled out some papers and placed them on the table. "I'm selling 3 of my buildings," he continued. "With that money, I'm building a hospital. A free hospital for children whose families can't afford doctors. We'll call it Lucas's Hope Hospital, because my son got a second chance, and now other children will too." Mrs. Vincent gasped and clapped her hands. Maria's eyes filled with tears. But Mr. Vincent wasn't finished. "Maria," he said, turning to her, "you're not our maid anymore. You're family. You and Tommy will live in the east wing of the mansion. Tommy will go to the best school in the city. And when he grows up, if he wants, he'll help me run the hospital." Maria couldn't speak. She just cried and cried, happy tears that wouldn't stop. Tommy didn't know what to say either. He'd never imagined living anywhere but that tiny room. He'd never dreamed of going to a real school with books and teachers. "But Mr. Vincent," Tommy finally said, "I don't need fancy things. I just wanted Lucas to live." Mr. Vincent knelt down, so he was eye level with Tommy. "I know you don't need them. That's exactly why you deserve them. You gave us the greatest gift without asking for anything back. You showed us what real wealth looks like." He put his hand on Tommy's shoulder. "True wealth isn't in my bank account. It's right here. It's you. It's your mother. It's my son running and playing. It's love and faith and hope." That afternoon, news reporters came to the mansion. They'd heard about the miracle boy who prayed and brought a dying child back to life. Cameras flashed. Microphones were pushed forward. But Tommy wasn't comfortable with all the attention. He tried to hide behind his mother. "Tell us." One reporter said, "How did you do it? What's your secret?" Tommy peeked out and spoke quietly. "It wasn't me. It was God. I just believed. Anyone can do that. Anyone can pray. Anyone can have faith. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be special. You just need to believe with your whole heart." The reporter wrote that down. "What would you say to other children who are sick? Or to their families?" Tommy thought for a moment. Then he spoke words that would be remembered for years and years. "Don't give up. Never, ever give up. Even when everything looks dark and scary, there's always hope. God listens to everyone. Rich people, poor people, grown-ups, and kids. It doesn't matter who you are or what you have. What matters is what's in your heart." He smiled. "Believe, and miracles will come." Those words spread across the city like wildfire. They were printed in newspapers. They were spoken on television. They were whispered in hospital rooms and shouted in churches. Believe, and miracles will come. Children who were sick held on to those words. Parents who were afraid found strength in them. People who had lost hope discovered it again. The hospital was built in 6 months. It was beautiful, with bright colors and windows that let in lots of sunshine. On opening day, hundreds of people came. Poor families who had never been able to afford doctors. Sick children who needed help. Everyone was welcome. Above the entrance, carved in stone, were Tommy's words. Believe, and miracles will come. Mr. Vincent stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony with Tommy beside him. Lucas held Tommy's hand on one side, and Maria stood on the other. "This hospital," Mr. Vincent announced to the crowd, "is proof that one person can change the world. One act of faith. One moment of courage. One humble heart." He looked at Tommy with pride. This boy had nothing but belief, and that was everything. The crowd cheered. Cameras flashed. But Tommy stayed humble, just like always. That night, back at the mansion, back at their home now, Tommy sat in his new room. It was bigger than his old house had been, but he hadn't changed. He still went barefoot sometimes. He still prayed every night. He still smiled at everyone he met. Maria came in and sat on his bed. "Are you happy, my son?" Tommy nodded. "But, Mama, I'm scared too." "Scared? Of what?" "Everyone calls me special now. They act like I'm different. But I'm not. I'm just Tommy. I'm just a kid who prayed. Maria hugged him tight. You are just Tommy. And that's exactly what makes you so special. You stayed humble. You stayed kind. You stayed faithful. Even now, with all this, she gestured around the big room, you haven't changed who you are inside. Tommy smiled. Mama, do you think other people can do what I did? Do you think they can believe enough to see miracles? I know they can, Maria said firmly. Miracles don't belong to one person. They belong to anyone who believes, anyone who has faith, anyone who opens their heart. The years passed. Lucas grew strong and healthy, running faster than any kid in his school. The hospital saved thousands of children, giving them the care they needed. Mr. Vincent never went back to his old ways. He had learned that true success isn't measured in money. It's measured in lives touched and hearts healed. Tommy grew up to become a doctor, but not just any doctor. He worked at Lucas's Hope Hospital, treating children with medicine and with prayer. He never forgot where he came from. He never lost his faith. On his 21st birthday, Tommy stood in front of the hospital and spoke to a crowd of people who had come to celebrate. When I was 10 years old, he said, I was just a poor boy with holes in his clothes. I had nothing to offer but faith. And I learned something that day that I want to share with all of you. He paused, looking at all the faces, rich and poor, young and old, healthy and sick. Miracles are real. They happen every day. But they don't come from magic. They come from love. They come from believing when everyone else has given up. They come from being brave enough to pray, to hope, to trust. He smiled, and it was the same smile he'd had as a barefoot boy. So here's what I want to tell you. Don't wait for someone else to make a miracle. You can be the miracle. You can be the one who brings hope. You can be the one who changes everything. His voice grew stronger. Maybe you're facing something impossible right now. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you think it's too late. But I'm here to tell you, it's never too late. Believe with your whole heart. Pray with everything you have. And watch what happens. The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. Find someone who needs hope today. It might be a sick friend. It might be a lonely neighbor. It might be a stranger. And give them what I gave Lucas. Faith, belief, love. That's all it takes. One humble heart can change the world. Let yours be that heart. The crowd erupted in cheers. People hugged each other. Some cried. Others laughed with joy. And somewhere in that crowd, a little girl with a sick brother heard Tommy's words. She looked up at her mother and said, I'm going to pray tonight. I'm going to believe. If Tommy could do it, I can too. Her mother smiled through her tears. Yes, sweetheart. Yes, you can. Because that's how miracles work. They start with one person, one moment, one choice to believe. And then they spread, like ripples in a pond, touching life after life after life. The mansion's bells rang that evening, just like they did every evening now. But these bells weren't just marking time. They were celebrating life, celebrating hope, celebrating the day a barefoot boy taught the world that the greatest wealth isn't found in banks or buildings. It's found in humble hearts that believe. The end. A message for you. Tommy's story is over, but yours is just beginning. Right now, at this very moment, you have the power to be someone's miracle. You have faith inside you. Maybe you didn't even know it was there, but it is. It's waiting for you to use it. Here's your challenge. Don't just read this story and forget it. Let it change you. Let it move you to action. Today, do one of these things. Pray for someone who is sick or hurting. Pray with your whole heart, just like Tommy did. Believe that your prayer matters, because it does. Visit someone who is lonely. Maybe it's a grandparent. Maybe it's a neighbor. Maybe it's someone at school who sits alone. Be their friend. Be their hope. Help someone who needs it. Give your time. Share your food. Offer your kindness. You don't need money to make a difference. You just need a willing heart. Tell someone about faith. Share Tommy's story. Remind them that miracles are real. Remind them that God listens. Remind them to never give up. Believe for your own miracle. Maybe you're the one who needs hope right now. Maybe you're facing something impossible. Don't give up. Pray. Believe. Trust. Your miracle might be closer than you think. Remember Tommy's words. Believe and miracles will come. This isn't just a nice phrase. It's a truth that can change your life and the lives of everyone around you. You are not too small. You are not too young. You are not too poor. You are not too ordinary. You are exactly what the world needs. So go. Be brave. Be faithful. Be the miracle someone is waiting for. And when you see impossible things become possible, when you watch prayers get answered, when you experience the joy of being part of something bigger than yourself, come back and share your story, because your miracle might be the one that inspires the next person to believe. The world needs more Tommies. Will you be one? Start today. Start now. Believe, and miracles will come. Share this story with someone who needs hope. Tag someone who inspires you. And most importantly, go make your own miracle happen. The world is waiting.